In this video, I want to walk you through a real-world breakdown of a well-established roofing company here in South Florida, Paul Bange Roofing. They've been around over 3 decades. They're founder-led, privately held, and they built a strong reputation across Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County. What makes this interesting isn't just who they are, it's how their online presence compares to where the market is heading right now. I'm going to show you their website, their Google presence, how they're showing up or not, inside AI search tools like ChatGPT and Google AI overviews, and where the real opportunities are. This isn't a teardown. The foundation here is actually solid. The question is, does their digital marketing strategy fully reflect the strength of the business they built over 30 plus years? If you're a contractor watching this, especially in a competitive market, you're going to see a lot of patterns that apply directly to your own business. What's up, everybody? This is Mauricio Cardinal with Contractor Marketing Pros. And today we're going to talk about, we're going to examine the online strategy of Paul Bange Roofing. I think there's a lot of things to learn from Paul Bange and his roofing company. They're one of the biggest roofing companies in South Florida, if not the biggest residential roofing company in South Florida. Been around for a long time. So I'm going to examine their online marketing presence, their website, their SEO, their geo strategy, right? If there's any geo strategy in terms of AI search, how often they're appearing on AI search and AI overviews, how things are changing with 2026 coming around the corner, and just gonna give you a rundown of everything. Right, first thing I'm gonna give you is just an understanding of the company. They started in 1989. They service 3 markets, which are pretty big markets, as Miami-Dade, Palm Beach, and Broward County. Right, so those are the 3 main markets they focus on. According to the BBB and Sunbiz, they were formed in 1989. So they've been around for 36 plus years. So they've seen a lot of their changes. Other thing that it's important to understand is that if they've been bought out by a private equity. So far that I found, they are not a private equity. They are privately owned. I'm sure he's been approached by that, but he hasn't been sold. So we're not going to talk about their traditional advertising. I know for a fact these guys have been doing traditional advertising for a long time. They've been doing a lot of TV commercials for a long time, and that has built their brand to a very good place. This video is not about that because it does impact everything they do, but we're just going to talk about just the overall online marketing strategy and some things that they could do. And we'll start with the website, right? So since they're in South Florida, obviously they have a Spanish part of that, se habla español. So obviously they're in South Florida. Anybody who lives here understands that if you don't cater to that market, you're losing a ton of opportunity with that market. If you look at the website, right, you know, the design definitely needs to be updated. Just a reality, right? It has to be updated. It looks like hasn't been updated in a long time. The design is not a modern design. I see the picture of the owner, right, but there's no high class, there's no professional photography in that, right? If you look at the projects, they have recent projects, they're not just, it needs to be updated, right? So there's no information about these projects. What is the before and after? They have 2 forms of communication, which is the inbound phone calls and the form submissions. So in today, like I've been saying before in previous videos, you want to have 4 forms of communication, right? In the home services space, you're going to convert the majority of the 40% of the leads from inbound phone calls. So inbound phone calls obviously are going to drive the most high quality leads, but you also want to have form submissions, what they have, and you also want to have a chat widget, and then also have ability to get people to text you, right? So those are 4 forms of communication that I recommend on home services sites. And basically what you want to do is that you want to have that in place. But I'm sure they're getting a lot of leads. I'm going to go over the traffic, their SEO, all that stuff in a second. Look, if you look at the website homepage, you need a modern design, something that really captures attention. There's no unique value proposition. What makes this company unique? Are these guys the biggest roofing company in South Florida? How many projects have they done? Where's the track record of success? They have a lot of reviews. That's great. Where's the track record of success? How many projects have they completed? Why are they different from other companies? This is a commercial they run, by the way, and they run it like in local. They've been doing it for a long time. On the website, what makes them different, right? So these are things that have to be improved upon. So design of the site needs to be updated. It's an old school site, and now what we're going to be doing is talking about the actual technical side of the site. So we use a platform called Screaming Frog to kind of analyze the technical side of the site. It basically crawls the entire website and it kind of gives an overview of the different things that we found in terms of the meta descriptions, the response code, the URL, all those different stuff. Basically, like if you look at the site, It's 323 pages. This site's been around for a long time. It's surprising. It's not a lot of pages, right? A lot of sites that have thousands of pages. 94% of are indexable. So what that means is that the majority of the pages are being found by Google. Sometimes we see when we do these audits, there are a lot of pages on the site that are not being found, right, by Google. So that's a good thing. Overall, the crawl wealth is good. 94% are being found. Very few errors. We really want to found only one 404 page. That was a redirect. Very minimal redirects. That is good. We just did an audit with another client, and they had a ton of redirects, ton of 404 pages, and obviously that causes issues with the SEO. So other thing is that there's some small things, right, like technical. They're missing security headers. Doesn't mean the site is unsafe, but just means that just modern sites have to kind of be updated in that round, right? Just an easy fix. Page titles, the good things, no duplicate titles. Titles are descriptive. The location and service languages are present. They're not overly long or spammy. That's good. The other thing is that content is definitely the thing that I want to focus on. If you look at the content, the content exists for the services and the locations. However, there's not enough depth into it, not enough quality. If you look at the AI overviews, I'm going to go over that in a second. They have very low AI visibility because the content is definitely not good enough. So what you want to do is when you create the content, you want to have content that not only humans can read, but also the AI search engines can read in a way that is structured, that is easy to scan and readable and easy to understand, right? Those are little things that you have to kind of have that, right? The foundation is good, just needs to be built upon it. Only 110 images that we found. A big impact that we saw for SEO is the internal linking needs to be changed. That's a big change that has to be found because it is a big impact on SEO. So there are a lot of pages, but they're not being interlinked, right? Which is obviously a big impact on SEO. That's there's no strong clusters on the blog, the locations. You have to kind of separate those between the different structures in place to make sure you're understanding that. They're not really strongly connected to another. Overall, right, if you look at what this means is that the site is actually in good starting position. It's clean, it's crawlable, right? A lot of challenges that we see with other sites is not crawlable. Not a lot of things are broken, but obviously it's not really dominating search results. And I'll show you what that looks like in a second because you just see the traffic in that side. It doesn't have a broken website, but just has an underutilized website. That's the key thing with the actual technical side. Now, let's go over the actual traffic. We're going to use SEMrush. It seems pretty accurate, right? So what I mean by that is that I've seen, we don't have access to our Google Analytics, so we don't know for sure the actual traffic, but SEMrush it's pretty accurate overall. If you look at the last 2 years, organic traffic has steadily declined. It's kind of steadily declined. It's kind of going up and down. The AI visibility, if you look at the AI search, right, it's pretty low, 25 out of 100. Now, if you look at what this looks like, the AI visibility has kind of gone down the last few months. Right now, they just started measuring this. They're being mentioned 30 times. They have 84 cited pages. The main thing with this is something that we change ourselves is that obviously the content has to change with the website. You have to really write for AI search engines because those are the things that really people care about. The way you answer questions on the website, the things that you do, kind of give you some examples of how it's being prompted and all that. So I'm going to go over this in a second, the Paul Bange Roofing reviews, because it's extremely important. Overall, has low AI visibility, right? When someone asks ChatGPT or AI overviews about roofing companies, honestly, in South Florida, Paul Bange doesn't show up a lot, right? So that's the thing. It doesn't mean that they're bad, obviously, in their marketing, but it just is not showing up a lot, right? So the other thing, right, is they have 30 mentions, about 84 cited pages. They're being mentioned. They're aware of the brand, and that really comes down to the reviews that they have, the brand that they have. Those are important things. Those are the main things that's really kind of driving results, is the amount of reviews you're getting, almost 3,000 reviews. So that's kind of feeding the algorithm for everything else. So in terms of like why AI would recommend you, there's a few things. First, it has to have trust signals, has to have brand mentions, doing press releases, having a clean site, having the right LLMS text file on the site, right schema on the site. The thing that they're missing is authority style content that really answers people's questions. What are the most common questions that people have, right? There's no FAQs, right? What are the most common questions that customers have in South Florida? Why is it different versus someone in Orlando, for a second, right? Where is roofing education content, right? where is that on the site? That doesn't exist as well. Those are things that people ask that's not really being cited. Those are things that really get an understanding of what people are doing online to really help project in the future and really help you understand that this is the impact that can have on your business, right? If you look at the traffic, it's kind of gone down. It hasn't really gone up with the keywords, right? Keywords are kind of steadily declined. They haven't really increased, right? If you're adding content, right? If you're continually getting reviews with their services, right? Here's another thing with reviews. I'm gonna go over in a second, but with the reviews, if you have the actual keywords in the reviews, if you have the pictures of the projects of the actual person, that helps you with keyword rankings overall, right? Now, if you look at the organic keywords, what do you usually notice, right? The majority of their keyword traffic comes from their name because they have the branding. So 21% of the traffic, 11%, 25%, that's 45%. Paul Bange Roofing, right? So they are ranking some good keywords, right? So best roofing company in South Florida, the traffic's at 136. They're ranking in the local map pack, right? It's a commercial keyword and about number 7, right? So position. So if you look at best roofing company for roofing company for Lauderdale, Bange Roofing, right? So they're ranking some keywords, and obviously it comes from what? The majority is from the local map pack, right? That's because they have more reviews than anybody else in South Florida. So that's kind of the big reason. Now, if you look at branding versus non-branded, so give you a second. Let me look it up. So if you look at the branded traffic, you see this branded traffic has steadily increased and it's kind of stayed the same, right? It's kind of steadily increased over time. That's a big factor. So if you look at the content, right? So the opportunity, basically, they have the hardest part, the trust and reputation. But they're mixing structured content in ways that can really help. So here's what I mean, right? If you're in South Florida, right? What is the content that really makes sense in South Florida? What is a different type of, is it shingle roofing, architectural roofing, tile roofing versus metal roofing? All these different things are important for them to understand. And what are the things that people can have in place that really makes sense with everything else? So basically, they're trusted by customers, but not really fully understood by AI yet. Let's go over the actual Google Business Profile. This is probably the strongest part of their SEO strategy. They have 4.9 rating and 2,500 reviews. So they have close to 2,500 reviews, which is more than anyone in South Florida. And that is the main factor why they're getting a ton of visibility. Now, if you look at reviews, look at this, right? So this is a good review, right? So this has a picture of this. That's really good. They're doing a good job with having pictures with reviews, set up the roofing paint with estimate. These are adding pictures with everything that's going on, right? So these are good stuff, right? So the reviews are pretty detail oriented. You want to have the keywords, the reviews, and also the pictures of the reviews, right? So they're getting pretty frequently. Now, if you look at newest, 26 minutes ago, an hour ago, 2 hours ago, 2 hours ago, right? So they're getting a ton of reviews. They're actively getting reviews. They have just getting a ton of reviews just this today, right? So they're actively getting a ton of reviews. And this is probably the biggest reason why they're doing well with local SEO. That's what driving the majority of results. So driving the map pack and all the results, right? So they're basically that's really the reason why it's increasing click-through rates, increasing everything else with this. Now, if you look at everything here, this is the kind of a tool that we use to kind of analyze the things. So they have one main location. They have 4.9 rating. They have the coordinates here. They have a business category, which is roofing contractor as a main category. But overall, if you look at their brand, right, they have good recognition with Google. They have a clean knowledge panel. They have the website links correct. And they also have visibility within the name, address, and phone number all correct. Their primary category is correct with roofing contractor, right? They service areas clearly defined with Google Maps, and they have consistent brand presence across, the website, the Facebook, the Instagram, the YouTube, and the LinkedIn, right? Now, with everything else, if you look at where things can be better, most of their Google Business Profile really comes from basically what's happening is that the reviews are driving the heavy lifting. All the factors, probably one of the most important factors, right? But again, reviews won't maximize visibility, right? So I would increase the volume of posting, right? It looks like they're posting once a week. So once a week is something when we do our clients, we post 12 times a month. So 12 times a month. And when you post, right, I'll show you an example of what it looks like, right? You see these posts, you see how the brand is strong, right? Bigger project, bigger discount. So it shows the keywords, it has a call to action, has an offer, and then it has a link to the appointment. Now, if you compare their things, this is basically very simple. There's no keywords. This is just kind of like the design is not good, the pictures aren't good, right? They should definitely hire a professional photographer to take some of these images, right? And just have a library of all images they can use frequently and really help with everything else. So those are the things that help. They're not really posting a lot of educational posts or service promos. FAQs, right? They don't have any FAQ section here. If you look at their FAQs, there's not non-existent. So if you look at this company right here, they have the product section as well. It's missing the product section on Paul Bange. If you look at the product section, you want to, well, basically what we do for our clients is that even though roofing is a service business, obviously, we list the services as products. It just makes the profile stand out, right? A big thing, right? So it's also missing frequently asked questions. Right? A big thing is also FAQs, right? That's all for impacts AI, right? So I would have on the photos, I would have before and after photos. I would have team photos. I would have pictures of the office, you know, add in more images, right? If you look at some of the images here, give me a second. There's no really images here. Like there's images here. So I misspoke. They do definitely have a lot of images, right? I would just have images of the office, images of the team, and images of the actual, some of the work that's being replaced, right? So overall, they're doing a great job with the images. So that's the thing that you can kind of change. The other thing I want to show is also the AI overviews. So these guys are done a good job with the reviews, right? So 4.9 rating, 2,500 reviews. And this is a big thing that it's happening, right? So if you look at Paul Bange Roofing reviews, this is something that's happening with a lot of local businesses, is that they're getting summarized by AI overviews. And with Google AI overviews, it's basically taking all the reviews from all the different sections from the website, from Yelp, from Pulse. And if you look at this, it's pretty positive, right? Highlighting professional, excellent communication, high quality work with quick cleanups, right? Sometimes these guys are on Glassdoor, right? Seeing other people get negative reviews on Glassdoor. Yelp, right? They can definitely get Yelp, right? If you look at Yelp, obviously they have highlight, professional, clear. They're also getting summarized by Yelp here, which is interesting. If you look at they have a 3.8 rating on 165 reviews, something that, again, Yelp is kind of a tricky situation, but again, it would be an advantage to actually start really optimizing this profile and getting the best possible results. Now, let's look at the Google Ads strategy. So, I mean, these guys are just having Google Ads and they're actively running ads, right? Which is a great thing, right? The main thing with their campaigns is that they're targeting roofing estimates, roofing repair, metal roofing, commercial roofing, emergency services. Looks like they're targeting high intent keywords, which is great. This is really the right type of traffic you want to buy. And they're emphasize kind of the experience, right? So ads emphasize the experience, which is 30 years, full service company, Florida roofing specialist. So they kind of lean into the longevity and trust and positioning for their ads. They have multiple variations, text ads, video ads, but I think for this basically is that they're sending traffic all to the website instead of dedicated landing pages. Each landing page should be dedicated to the service you provide with the keyword matching. That's a big thing that helps with everything, right? With the website, it caters to different audiences instead of targeting specific audiences. So that's the big thing that I would kind of fix and all that, right? So with the landing pages, you can get quality scores. You can get a lower cost per lead, and typically you can get a higher cost per booked appointment, right? So also the ads are kind of generic, right? There's no differentiation, there's no urgency, no pain point. That's language. They're, South Florida specific problems. I don't see that a lot. Now, again, I don't have access to their account, so I can't really tell you exactly, but this is good. You just go to Google Ads Transparency and you find out what they're running. You can see what they're doing right there, right? So those are the things that kind of have everything intent, right? If you look at their Facebook, they have several Facebook pages, which is interesting. I wonder why they're doing that. I couldn't find any ads. I saw one ad they're running on Facebook ad library. So I don't know if they're running other ads. Let's look at their Instagram. So they have 1,000 followers, right? Independence Day, 4th of July. So they're not really posting a lot, right? So 4th of July, they're not posting a lot. So obviously that's a thing that they can do to improve, right? So overall, like yeah, that's basically it. I hope you guys learn a lot from this. Just kind of summarizing the things. Obviously, you need an updated website. Really change the strategy for geo. In terms of the geo stuff, it's more how to, more things about the most common questions that these guys that customers are asking in the section, right? Make it specific, location specific, kind of the things that we have in place. So their traffic really has not increased over that time frame, so that's a big factor. But I hope you guys learn from this video, and let me know if you guys have any questions. Thank you. So here's the takeaway: Paul Bange Roofing doesn't have a broken online presence. They have an underutilized one. The trust is there, the reputation is there, the foundation is clean. But in today's market, especially with AI-driven search, local competition, and rising ad costs, the companies that win are the ones that intentionally expand their authority, not just rely on authority and reviews and longevity. If you're a contractor watching this and you're wondering how your website, your Google profile, or your AI visibility stacks up, we can do this exact tape-out breakdown every single day. You can book a strategy call with our team at contractormarketingpros.net. We'll walk you through your business, your market, and your opportunities with no pressure. And if you found this helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment below with the next company or topic you'd like us to break down. Thank you.